Hello. For my dynamic website, I chose to do a date calculator app. It's built in main stack, which is Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node. I chose this stack because JavaScript runs the whole process, so it makes it easy to integrate with each layer. We can start with the back end. So you can see I have app, which is the front end and back end. The back end, we go and see where the connection happens. Line 21 is where I connect to my database. Uh, Before connecting to this current database, I use the localhost database um, to test it out. And I use Postman as well to make sure all my API calls are working properly. Once that was complete to host this uh, back end and front end, especially the database, I used MongoDB Atlas, um, which is a cloud-based Mongo to store all my data. Um, this is my connection. And to show my calls, this is where my get call happens. And if I have during a post request, if I have any error, I'm sending this information to the UI. I have the delete and put as well. And when deleting, I'm catching that specific request using an ID. When it comes to my configuration, my database name is dead app and the collection is debts. Okay. To show my backend working, I'll go to the UI and so this is my UI right now. As you can see, I have two data in there and my database shows the same value as well. And to show that working, I'll add a new value here. Interest rate, 5, minimum payment, 50. As you can see, it was added in the UI, then a backend, then a database. Refreshing that will show me the third value that was added, as you can see. And if I delete it in a database, it should be deleted in the UI as well. Come here and refresh the app, everything is gone. That was added last. Okay, to show my front end, I used, like I mentioned earlier, Angular for my front end, and the connection happens in servers and my debt service file. Before I was connecting to this server to host it in my EC2 instance, I used a local host. So I had a local host 3000 here. And once I was able to get my base URL, I was doing the get, credit, and debt, and cancel debt from this process. And to show my UI, this is my HTML. Um, it has a success and error message showing, and I use string subcollection to get data from my TypeScript, which my logic takes place. I was able to initialize each value and declare as well prior to starting the ng on it. And once that happens, I'm calling different functions like total debt calculator, total monthly payment calculator to get each value based on the API call I'm receiving. And if there is any other issue, I'll be sending that to the UI to show that issue or error message. We can actually see that. UI right now. So one of the addition that I had is if there is no value here, and you click add that, you have a user-friendly message. Please fill out all the required fields. Once you fill out the required fields, it should be gone as soon as a new function takes place. And to have more user-friendly and usability, I added required fields. And if you click one of the input field and there's nothing in it and you click somewhere else, it will show a red error indicating that it's a required field. And another feature I added is it's a type integer, so there is no character that you can add in but integers in each input value. And I added responsiveness as well in the CSS. As you can see, the UI is able to be responsive and be able to interact with it even at this portion. And yeah, the other one I added was total debt feature, which calculate each debt and shows the total value, total monthly payment, which shows the calculation of each value calculated. And one of the biggest issue that I had was connecting my back end with my front end, which was right here in line 12. It looks very simple, but I had a issue, and the way I solved it was I make sure my database is working. First, using Postman. The second one is I read some documentation and did research how it's probably done, and that was I was able to accomplish my or fix this issue. When it comes to the back end, I have dependencies like cookie parser, CORS, Express, HTTP errors, MongoDB, and Morgan as a dependency to help out with this Express project. The other feature I wanted to show is, I'm sorry, modules in the bin. This is where uh, I'm this is where I'm getting the port value, which is I was using localhost 3000 prior to hosting it to an EC2 server. To host it in an EC2 server, um, I use Ubuntu, um, and once my EC2 instance was up and running, I used PuTTY to connect to that, and I had to do a build in Angular to get the this folder. This is the production folder. It was not part of the project when I first built it, but ng build prod dash dash prod would be able to configure this project, simplify it, and easy to host. Um, yeah, to show my app at last. So you're able to delete and add as well, and the value is changing total debt and total monthly payment. In the future, I want to add uh, an estimated date that an individual will be getting out of debt based on the interest value, the debt, and the minimum payment, and be able to edit values to interact with the UI and reduce the uh, debt to get out of debt based on that interaction. The other thing I want to add is authentication, and maybe username and password to reserve this unique feature to each individual instead of everybody coming to this site and doing the whole process. Everybody will have their own individual uh, date calculator. Uh, Anyways, I'll be sharing this URL so you can walk through and see and get suggestion from you how to uh, properly get it better in the future. Thank you.